Good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I'm Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with Sarah Poe, my co-host, on the Global Legacy and Wealth Building for the next 2 hours. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Marcia. How are you today?
Great, thank you.
Good. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing good. It's
Good.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it is. And July 15th has come and passed for tax deadline, right?
Oh, thank goodness, yes.
Yes, and now we have just those that have filed extensions, correct?
That's correct. Hey, that next deadline's going to be here before they know it, too.
I know it. Well, we have a powerful lineup here today, Sarah. We have Marcia Riner with us today. We also have Delegate More with American Family Insurance. And before we get started, Sarah, what I'd like for you to do is, would you be so kind to tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, please?
Sure. I am Sarah Poe with Poe's Accounting Services. We are a full-service accounting office. We have 3 women and another one on the way. Another hire, but you know. We do taxes, payroll, bookkeeping, everything for a small business office. We like to make sure that the finance part of it is taken care of while the owner worries about running the business.
Absolutely. And Sarah, you and I have been friends for a little over 7 years. And wow. It's amazing how time flies. And it's I'm very privileged and honored to have you as a co-host on WCEG Talk Radio. And most important, you and I both are very honored and privileged to have Penny Rogers as the founder and CEO and producer of WCEG Talk Radio that gives us this platform for our listeners and our communities to give back. So thank you for being with us today. And again, I'm your co-host. I'm Celeste Giordano. I'm a master sales strategist and a business mentor. And I help business entrepreneurs, direct sales teams, and corporations exponentially increase sales and profit through lead generation, building relationships, and accountability. But first and foremost, our guest tonight on our 5 o'clock show is Marcia Riner. And Marcia has helped tons of entrepreneurs to set up a tangible plan that guarantees sustainability, profitability, and directs their growth. Her clients know exactly what they need to be doing to grow their profits in as little as 87 days. She works closely to develop quick action strategies that are clearly laid out in a simple to follow plan. With the current business environment, she says it's even more important to have and to follow a well-designed business plan so that your business will not only survive, but thrive. Marcia is a business strategist with her newly rebranded company, Trajectory Consulting, and has over 22 years of hands-on experience as an entrepreneur. She is an author, a podcast host, certified financial planner, and has a degree in business and finance that comes from a family of business owners. Her experience have created a unique way of driving bigger business profits. Marcia enjoys being active. She plays ice hockey. I don't know how you get ice hockey in California, but that's another story. And she rides her Harley when she's not babysitting her adorable grandson, Liam. Our guest tonight, Sarah, is Miss Marcia Riner. Hey, Marcia, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. And did you know that hockey is super underground? And we have 3 teams here in California, 2 in Southern California and 1 in Northern California. And then right next to us in Vegas, we have the Vegas team. So hockey's pretty big, and it just came back on TV. So I've been watching it for hours on end as we're catching up. But it's a lot of fun, and it gives me something to do on Friday nights.
Absolutely. Well, it sort of caught me off guard. California ice hockey. I just couldn't put two and two together right
You'd
there.
be surprised.
Absolutely. So, Marcia, I read your short bio here, and why don't you tell us just a little bit more about yourself and what you would like the people to know besides what I shared with them?
Well, great. So I think what I really feel passionate about is that I'm on this mission to help business owners to create a strategy and plan, because most business owners just go about their business and they don't go with intention or direction, and have a difficult time even thinking about their goals, let alone meeting their goals. So I've come about in a weird way as I evolved through my business life and my direction to come and see that one of the most common things that business owners don't have is that foundational plan. They're always reaching for all the sexy and exciting strategies and things that they can do, and they're chasing this direction, and then they turn around and chase that direction, and oftentimes they take 2 steps back before they can take 1 step forward. And I found that when they have a solid plan, they know what they're doing, and they have much more success. And so I think I just kind of fell into this after seeing the errors that my family had made in their business. My dad ran a car dealership. My mom ran a mortgage company. And then through my years of being in business, I just kept seeing the repeated issues they had. And that's where I just decided this was the time to solve this problem.
Well, absolutely. Well, I know, Marcia, that you and I met on a summit in May. I think it was with Carol Dockham with Beautiful Faces Going Places. And you and I were both a guest expert on each of the days out of the 5-day work week. And when I first heard your presentation, I was just amazed of the like-mindedness of the things that you teach, your philosophy, the education, the empowerment, and most importantly, the passion, as you said, to help people succeed in the workplace today. And immediately when you did your presentation that day, I sent you a message and I said, Marcia, I really enjoyed your presentation. I could relate to it. I have clients that can relate to you. And Sarah and I would love to have you as our guest on our talk radio show. So here we are, a few months later, we're together. And I was very honored and privileged to be on your podcast. And I believe it was today that your podcast went out. And I just want to say how much we just appreciate your passion in helping and serving people, because that's what Sarah and I know Penny, the producer, we're all about helping and empowering and serving people in our community.
I agree wholeheartedly. And yes, the world is getting a double dip of Marcia and Celeste today. So Profit with a Plan is my podcast, and it went live today. And we were talking about your unique way of going back a little bit, and forgive me, I didn't mean it as age, but I said old school sales strategies, because it is. People try and do all this fancy stuff, but they got to go back to the basics. And that's what we talked about. And I loved it. And when I listened to it again, it just kept coming back as old school. So I went with the old school sales strategy as the topic. But yeah, the world's getting double dip of Celeste and Marcia today.
Absolutely. And for our listeners here today, I would love for you to tell them how they can reach you before we even get started. So how can they reach you? A website, email, anything? Could you put it in? Could you let us know, please?
Absolutely. So I've recently rebranded. When I came out of the world years ago, I was Bella Financial Group, and that was designed, I was kind of going to have this like Charlie's Angels kind of world of gals that were financial planners. And as my business kept evolving into it, that name no longer matched exactly who I was going. So I rebranded myself recently. It is Trajectory Consulting, and I go by the .com of trajectorybiz, biz.com. So www.trajectorybiz.com. And you can just go there. There's a contact information. There's more about what I do and how I help and serve.
Great. And I appreciate that. So let's get started here. What I'd like to ask you is what is the biggest problem that you see for business owners that they're facing today?
You know, that's really a great question, because it's how I evolved and came into my business. I was seeing that so many people were again striving for all those great things that they wanted to do. Oh, they want to be a millionaire, or they want to have a huge company. They need to have 10 or 20 people below them. They kept wanting to do the great stuff that a scaling, growing business strives to become, but they didn't have that foundation in place. I found that they were kind of getting in the car and driving, trying to drive someplace, and they didn't know where they wanted to go, let alone where they were. So they were just in the car and they were driving. And I found that they were wasting time on inefficient activities and ineffective tasks that they weren't able to achieve the goals that they wanted to do, let alone even know what those goals were. And then finally, they were in constant reaction mode. So they were putting out fires and they were trying to chase more customers, and they just didn't have that strategy. So I think the biggest problem that these business owners faced is they didn't have a foundational plan in place to know exactly who they were, what they were trying to do, who their customer was, and how to get to the goals that they wanted to have of chasing or making more money. So I think that if they had this plan in place, their business would run a lot more smoothly. I think they'd know exactly what they needed to do each day and every day. And then they would have clarity with their team and themselves on the direction that everybody was trying to move the business forward. So I think this idea of having a business plan is really important. And it's not one of those, we're getting feedback. It's not one of those fuzzy plans that you create when you're starting your business or when you're trying to get business financing and then you park it up on the desk. I believe that this business plan should have, first of all, it's on steroids, so it's a pretty robust plan, but it needs to have prime real estate on your desk so that you can flip through it on a regular basis and make sure you're tracking your goals and directions and you're moving after that ideal client and everything is aligned because you're going through it on a regular basis and you're checking back in.
Interesting.
So coming from an accounting background, I can see you're going, yeah.
You know, when I started business, I was laid off and I just started working, and there was no business plan. There was no nothing. There was no goals. I needed to earn money. So I just started doing it, you know, and as time went on, I thought, oh, that business plan really makes sense. And all that goes with that.
It does. It certainly does. I think it helps you figure out how to really utilize the time and the energy and the resources you have to achieve those goals that you're looking for.
Absolutely. And so it just took me a few years to get there, but yeah.
Well, it does. And it's never too late to work with a plan and to create a plan or update your plan. If it is a living, breathing set of documents that are parked on your desk right in plain view, then it's never too late. It's never too early. It shouldn't be done every January. It should be done in January and then worked on again in February, March, April, May, and just the continuous time, massaging that document and getting it to be more important. I tell you, when I did mine, when I started doing it in my own business and when my clients started using it, it gave you direction. It told you how to get to where you wanted to go. And it forced you to take that step back and go, well, do I want to put my right foot forward or do I want to put my left foot forward? Do I want to turn here or turn there? You know, and because you now have everything laid out, it gives you that movement. It's just become so essential. And I think it's I often joke when I do my little 30-second or 60-second commercial that I say it's an often forgotten and underutilized business tool. Nobody uses them anymore.
Most definitely. It gives you good.
I only charge 20%, so you can steal it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it gives you good signposts, directions you're going and where you need to go. And you know, that should be reviewed just like reviewing with your insurance agency and the different things that you need to review on a yearly basis.
It's like when you're reviewing your employees. So if you have staff if you have staff working for you And you start together in January and you don't talk about a review until December, and she's looking for a raise, and you go, well, you did all these things wrong. I mean, you can't run a business or clients without having, quarterly or monthly reviews. Well, it's the same thing with your business.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and Marcia, with my private clients, I encourage them to have a review every single month. Go back and look, before the end of the month. Don't wait to after the month. Before the end of the month, go back and review where you've been the last 30, 31 days. What worked, what didn't work, and do we need to make self-correction into our goals for the next month? You just don't roll into the next month the same way, thinking, okay, well, I'll pick it back up here. You have to do self-correction.
Exactly. And how do you know if you're on track or not if you don't have it written down? And how do you know if you need to move and shift a little bit to the left? Maybe your customers aren't buying that product and you need to offer your other product to them. I mean, there's so many things, but if you don't have it in a plan or a strategy, then you're just you're winging it. And I was just invited to watch a friend's summit coming up in September, and her keynote speaker wrote a book called Winging It. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the one thing you're never supposed to do. And I'm sure she's talking about not winging it, but it's crazy. So.
Well, absolutely. So let me ask you something. How do you think this problem can be eliminated?
Good question. So I think that there's three things that you need to consider when you're dealing with your business plan and when you're dealing with business, is that you need to have clarity. So clarity is super important in understanding where you are right now today. And that clarity will involve so many different aspects of your business, but primarily your financials. You've got to know financially where you are and what you need to do for the next month to achieve your goals. So that clarity is so important, because if you don't know where you are today, how are you going to know where you're going to be, tomorrow, or how are you going to get to where you want to go tomorrow? So that clarity is important. And I talk about with my clients frequently, there's 5 steps that are key in every business plan. There's the financial piece. There's the organizational piece. There's the product piece, there's the marketing piece, and then there's the growth, or even in today's economy, the survival piece.
Right.
And these 5 categories are important in every single thing that you do. And when we're talking about having clarity, you've got to have clarity in your financials of what resources you have to work with. And my goodness, where's your next income check coming from? And what are you spending going out? And even in your organization, how is your organization structured? How are you supporting the client? Who is your client? I mean, there's so many different categories, but you have to have clarity on what's your organization. And even if you're a solopreneur, what are you here on earth to do? What is your business all about? Excuse me. And having that clarity is so incredibly important in that organization. When we talk about your product, the clarity in your product has got to be who's buying that product and why are they buying it. I generally work with service-based professionals because I really don't want to do cost basis on widgets. So as Sarah giggles, so I work on service-based, but you have to understand, just because you have a service doesn't mean your customers are lining up to buy it. You've got to do all your research and make sure that that product is something your customers want, and they're ready to throw credit cards at you, as one of my friends likes to say. And then the other thing that I think in having that clarity is when we go into marketing, who are we marketing to? Who is that exact client, not that exact world. So I constantly laugh because I met a dentist years ago, and they said, yeah, my ideal client is anybody with teeth. We're like, well, that just eliminated everybody, right? I mean, you got to have clarity in describing it. And I even have 2 pictures up on my wall with all of my avatar, and I've named them, and they're there, and every decision I make goes towards them. And it's just having that clarity. And then obviously growth, where are we going? The second phase, and I think is really important that we have to eliminate this problem, is to get control. There's so many things in our life that we cannot control, right? Where are we in an economy and in business right now? We're in lockdown, not to timestamp us, but we're here in California, we're back under lockdown. Because because we started to have more cases again. And so they locked us down again. So, most things, unless you're essential, you're locked back down in. But that's something we can't control. The stock market is another thing that we can't control. We can't control the other person, but we can control what we're offering, how we're offering it. We can control our own finances and the investments and the pieces that we can use. We can control the marketing and the message we send out. And we can control how quickly or how slowly we grow. So these control factors are really important to have. And I think if you have clarity and you have control, then you can move on to the next step, which is to take action. And so I like to call that a jump start. You got to start moving. It's really the first step. It's the one foot in front of the other foot, and you've got to start moving. But so many people don't. They get stuck. They freeze. They try something that doesn't work, and then they go back to their old ways. And so I think those three pieces that could really eliminate that problem is, again, clarity, control, and then taking action.
Excuse me.
Yep. Bless you.
Oh, okay. That's good. Thank you.
We're live on TV, and it's natural that we're all sneezing, right? I mean,
it's because you don't want to sneeze in public.
Right? Yeah, save it up. Save it up.
So
go ahead.
What is the fourth one?
Oh, no, there were three.
Oh, okay. There was three. I'm sorry. I thought there was five.
There's three. I'm sorry. No. My five categories that you're looking at, sorry to be so confusing, but my five categories that you're looking at in any business plan is the financial, the organization, the product, the marketing, and the growth. So these, how do we get those eliminated, are by taking clarity, control, and taking action.
I see. My correction.
No, well, if I'm confusing you, I'm probably confusing others. So check and learn lesson from Marcia.
What are some of the tools that can help small business owners today?
Thank you. So some of the tools I think that we have to look at is that we've got to look at creating that plan. And I think that's the first piece that we have. And having that plan created and going through those five pieces that I just said, creating a financial plan. And that financial plan tells us we've got to work on a budget. A budget is not a diet. A budget is simply a reflection of what we spent in the past and our income in the past and what we project to happen in the future. So it's not a punishment, it's just a projection. So if I brought in 5,000 last month in income and I spent 4,000, hopefully it's less. And so then I'm going to expect that next month I should bring in 5,000 and spend 4,000. So that's the kind of thing a budget does. And it allows you to have that clarity when it's all written down and you analyze the numbers of, do I really need this, or is this a want? Or I didn't even realize I was spending for that subscription, right? And inside the plan, the next thing that you want to do is you want to have that organizational structure in place. Am I a sole proprietor? Am I an LLC? How am I protecting my company? Then you want to say, okay, who is my client? And who is helping me serve that client? And what are the processes and systems that client is going to go through on the journey of working through me? So these are strategies that you're laying out. So you're like a McDonald's, or a Starbucks. Every time you go in, it's the same service time and time and time again. And you get that by laying out an organizational plan. And then you start to look at, well, gee, am I really supposed to wear all of these hats? Or can I hire someone to do some of the other steps that maybe I would serve me better to work in a higher level? So you can't do that if you don't know what your organizational plan looks like.
I couldn't agree with you. I'm sorry, Marcia.
No, please go ahead. I don't want this to be a lecture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more because, in my workshop, one of the things that I talk about is having that relationship, number one, with a CPA or bookkeeper, having a financial planner, having an insurance agent, having that relationship with that banker and that lawyer. And people think, well, I don't need that right now. I'm just starting out. No, you needed to have those before you created your business.
Absolutely, because they're going to help you create it in the way it should be. We should always live or strive to how do I say this? Fake it until you make it. You know that phrase? You want to look the part until you're actually there. Well, you want to strive to have your business acting like it's a much bigger business before you're even that business, because then you don't have to switch things and stand on your head as your business grows. It's already in place for you to move forward and continue to grow. So yeah, having all of those pieces in it. I've got 2 more tools that or plans that you're going to use in your business that's going to help you grow. So Peter Drucker, and I believe it's Peter Drucker, says that there are only 2 things in your business that will produce an income, and that is marketing and innovation. Everything else is a cost. Everything else is a cost. So you must focus on your product and innovate and constantly working to make your service or your product better and more attractive to your customer. And then to flip that on its end, well, or let me take that step back again. So in your product, how do you know what your client wants? That means you have to go through and do all the product planning around it. The SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You're going to have to go through and figure out what you're good at and what your competition is doing, and how are you pricing your product, and how are you putting all the pieces together to make sure that your product is so irresistible that, again, your clients are going to throw their credit cards at you and go, oh my gosh, I need you. And you can't do that without having a plan, without having a strategy around your product to make it like that. And then the flip side of Peter Drucker's conversation, marketing. If you don't market, then you're simply open your doors and hoping for business. And hope is not a plan.
That's sort of what I call a hobby owner.
That is a hobby owner. That is a hobby owner, and it could be quite expensive if I'm not, mistaken here, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to market. You have to present yourself. Now, marketing doesn't mean spending lots of money on big ads and you have to do Facebook or you have to do Google or you have to, marketing is simply sharing your message with enough people in a way that it's very attractive. And this marketing piece, again, you've got to know exactly who that client is that you're talking to. Because if you're the dentist and you say, my client has teeth, then you're not specific enough, because everybody down the street is going to say, well, yeah, I got teeth, but I don't need you right now. Versus finding out what their problem is. And you are the ideal solution to that problem. And you make them aware of that problem in a way that they say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. Or maybe they did realize, but they're not ready yet. Or maybe they realized and now they're ready for you. Or maybe they're even shopping for you. So there's 4 different types of clients out there, and you have to find them and meet them in their right place. And it can only be done by having you communicate your service or your product out to the world. And there's so many ways of doing it. There really, truly is. But if you don't have that foundation, then how do you know if your marketing's working?
Absolutely. And do you have any tips on marketing? Just some.
Sure. I'm a marketing junkie by interest, not by trade. And every one of my clients that I work with, let me give you a little bit of disclaimer, kind of late though, but I don't do the accounting, But we talk about accounting and set out the plan. So we bring in their accounting specialist to help them with that, and their banker and so on. I don't do the accounting or the legal work, and I don't do the HR work, but we talk about it and create a plan. So now you can utilize the HR and the legal people to set up your business properly. I don't do the sales coaching, but we have to know who our ideal client is. So when you're working with the sales agent, they can work and help you get that going in the right direction. The same with marketing. I don't do the marketing. I play on my own marketing world, but that's about it. You go to the professional to help you execute the marketing. But if you don't do the homework, you're going to fail. And so marketing tends to be one of those pieces. And through my people that I've interviewed in the marketing world, everybody seems to get unhappy with the results of the marketing. Oh, I paid all this money and I didn't get the goals or the results that I wanted. And the common problem is they didn't know who they were talking to or how that person wanted to be talked to. And they didn't go after the person in the right phase of the business that they were in. So were they shopping, or were they even aware that they had this problem? So they didn't do the foundational work to make the marketing effective. Because if you do this foundational work and then you deliver and you bring in your marketing team to help go out and do the AdWords and the Facebook ads and the print ads and the website and all that other kind of stuff, they can be like 1,000 times more effective and drive clients to you when you know who you are and what you do, right?
Yes, absolutely. You know, and you, Marcia, I'm sure you've seen this a lot, as well as I have as a business strategist, that when people become clients and then you help them with the business plan, and I've always from day one delegated to everybody. You know, I stay in my wheelhouse, what I'm best at, and I'm best at having conversations with people and helping them solve problems and why they need my service. And I am not the marketing person. I am not the accountant. I am not any of those things. That's why I say I always make sure I have those people and a relationship with those people, and then I hire and delegate that out. And you hear people say, well, I can't afford that. Well, you can't afford not to.
Not to. Absolutely. I am the best referral partner in my network because I see the clients. I'm so big picture that I can see the gaps that these clients are having, and we go in and fix them. And then I deliver a ready-made package to the professional, and they're like, I love this. Now we're ready to roll. They don't have to go through and fix everything and adjust everything because the client has clarity now.
Yes.
They know exactly who and what they are and who and what their customer is. So then all these other pieces can now be super effective. And absolutely, I don't do the marketing. I don't do the accounting. I don't do the HR, but I sure know enough to see where the gaps are and then bring in the specialist who's going to make a huge impact because now the client has clarity.
So what are some of the tips that you would recommend for clients, business entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite ones, and I've spoken about this a bunch of times, you're not an island. Just because you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or you're in a partnership, or you're in a big organization, most people try and compartmentalize themselves and say, I'm the owner and therefore I have to make all the decisions. And I think that that's wrong. You should not be an island and be alone on this. On any decisions that you make in your business, you should actually, more heads are better than one. And so I think we should step back and realize that we shouldn't be alone in our decisions and reach out. Reach out and get the help you need. No super successful business owner like the Teslas and the Microsofts and the Googles and all the great companies that are here today. Nobody ever did it alone. So stop trying to do your own business all by yourself.
Absolutely. Sarah, you got some comments on that?
Yeah, I am.
Not to point the finger, Sarah. I'm just teasing.
I am so guilty of that. I just think I'm Superwoman and I can do everything. But
Right.
in the past couple years, I've been trying to delegate more, trying to get the team involved more, get their thoughts, because sometimes you get blinders on and you can't see this over here. And this year, with everything going on, I've tried to help my clients to take their blinders off so that we can keep them in business and focus on something totally new. Because that's the way it's always been done, doesn't necessarily work now. So
Correct.
I've learned the hard way that you have to ask for help. And there's in all the people that you surround yourself with, you've got to have mentors, you've got to have your team, you've got to have your board of directors, whatever that may mean to you, but
Yes.
you've got to ask them for help. And yes, Celeste has had to hit me across the head a couple of times. But, yes.
Well, it's because we've grown up wearing 25 different hats, from chief decision maker to chief garbage can emptier, that we think that we have to do it all. And then we look at our numbers and go, but I can't afford to hire somebody out. You don't have to hire always. You could trade, you can get advisory organizations. There's organizations that give free advice. There's bringing on, like you mentioned, a board of directors that can help advise you on things. It doesn't always cost a lot of money, and you don't always have to bring them on full time. You can use them on project-based and consulting work. So there's fractional CFOs, there's fractional CTOs or CMOs. These are all chief marketing, chief technology, all those areas. It's becoming very popular because you don't have to hire someone and put them on your payroll. You can do that on project-based or hourly based. I need you a couple hours a month to review this and look you over.
Yeah, like around here, we have an extension of Georgia, University of Georgia in Gwinnett County. And with that, they have a small business area, and they ask business owners who've retired to come back in and mentor new business owners. And I've had several people who've gone through that, and it's been a godsend to help them, because the retired business owners just happy to be there to help and to guide these younger people. Younger can just mean brand new business. Get up on their feet and do it the right way.
Absolutely. And I can always promise you, they'll always make you do a plan. Always make you do a business plan. That's it. I know it's foundational. And don't get me wrong, because once you get that business plan made in my consulting group, then we start putting on the sexy layers and the neat things that you can do to really increase your profitability. But everything that I've had to do when I bring a client in is go back to basics and talk about that plan. Yeah. But the other thing I think that people forget to do is they forget to spend time on their business. They're so busy working in their business and handling clients and handling customers and developing this and doing that and chasing that they forget to take time and go someplace else away from the noise of the business and work on their business. And I think it's essential to strengthen the foundation of our business that we spend that time on it. Go ahead,
Marcia. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this next one, I was going to talk about Sarah's probably favorite thing to talk about would be to go through your finances and trim your costs, right? You don't need a fish tank in your office anymore. You don't need to have 3 levels of management to micromanage everybody. Maybe you don't need an office in today's great times of learning how to work at home. There's all sorts of evolution, and I'm not calling it pivot, but I'm talking about evolution that we should be doing in our business that we're now faced with, and it's time to change, time to cut costs.
Yep.
Time to lean out a little bit. Maybe it is a diet after all, but it is absolutely necessary.
And the office thing is a huge thing, because unfortunately, my business, people come to me, right? So and we have some clients who are learning to do virtual, and when you're thrown into that and you have to, but you need to look at your overall business. Can I get away without having an office? Because think of the overhead you get rid of. Think of the money you could put towards something else if you didn't have to have an office.
And you can control your employees just fine when they're remote, as we've seen right now.
That's right.
There's, you know, the fear of, oh, I've got to look over my employees are going to run rampant. It's like when the cat's away, the mice will play, right? It's not true. It's not true. It's hiring correctly the first time and bringing on staff that are independent workers and can get the tasks done. Yes. You know, HR is your number one expense, followed by rent. And if you can get one person doing the job of three, maybe that's a little more cost effective too.
Well, and also if you're talking corporations, Marcia, it's also good leadership and inspecting what you expect with your people and having weekly meetings. And, you know, it doesn't have to be an hour-long meeting. It can be a 15-minute check-in call. You know, running a direct sales team, I had a check-in call twice a week with my team as well as my managers. It was crucial because, again, we were able to control the daily and weekly progress so we could always have a fantastic month.
I love it. I love it. And it's so important. See, clarity and control, right? Those are the two things that you want to do on there, and then take action on it. So I think that, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to ask earlier when I interrupt was, you know, we were talking, I forget what it was, but I was going to ask you.
Spend some time on the business.
Spend some time on the business, exactly. And you know, as a business strategist yourself, I'm sure that you have things like masterminds or your people come in for some one-day meetings. And, you know, one of the hardest things I had 7 years ago when I started consulting is people like, oh, I can't come to an all-day meeting. And it's like, you can't afford not to come to an all-day meeting because they were so concerned of working in their business, you know, instead of on their business. And so Sarah, I'm going to point Sarah out. She was one of them. Well, I just don't know if I can do that. No, you can do this. You need this. You have to step away and get with some like-minded people so you can focus and come back even stronger.
Yes. It takes your mind out of the business, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, if you're stuck in your business all the time, it's that round, what is it? The square peg trying to fit in a round hole. You just keep trying it in different ways and trying it in different ways, and it just won't go in. But when you step away and you go, and you're like, oh, I can do it that way, right? And yes, so it is really important to do that, at least quarterly. Take a day, and as Sarah knows, you can probably write off your business time as a corporate meeting, and you don't even have to be corporate. You could be small business, but you have these business planning times, and you go buy yourself a nice lunch or have a pedicure, and you call it a business meeting. And you know, it's done in a way that allows you to really get clarity and focus back on the things that you can control.
And I agree about needing to step away. Typically every year I go to a different city where we have CPEs, a national convention or whatever. And last week was supposed to be my week. I was supposed to be in San Antonio and having a great week and seeing people and talking and networking. I was sat right here in front of these 3 screens and did it all here.
And it was not the same, right?
No.
Because you know what? You were checking emails when you were doing it, and you were writing notes, and you were looking through someone's file, and it's all in there. So I definitely say get out of the office.
That's right.
Go someplace else, bring all the things you need, and focus. And part of that focus, oftentimes you need some help doing it. You can't just be alone.
Absolutely. And this is why, you know, with our clients, my clients, you know, we do this once a quarter, really every other month we do it. With COVID-19, we haven't done it. We need to do it on Zoom, but every other month or every quarter minimum, we would get together to work on our business. It was so important. You know, what are some of the tips you would recommend for corporations, business entrepreneurs today?
So the tips on getting away and the things that we talked about that you're not an island. We talked about that you're going to spend some time on your business. We talked about trimming your finances and looking at them and digging in. And then I think it's also important that you get your team involved. You know, we have a big challenge as business owners, especially with a team, that you don't get the buy-in. The team doesn't agree with what you're doing or why you're doing it, because you never really got them involved in the decision maker. As a business owner, you got the final rubber stamp, right? But it's always good to have ideas and feedback and buy-in, and maybe even a rewarding buy-in. So as sales, Celeste, a common thing for salespeople to get is a commission or a bonus if they make a big sale. If you get your team involved and you compensate them for moving the business forward, even if it's retirement planning or profit sharing or a bonus at the end of the quarter or year, if you make the goals, they're pushing that boulder up the hill with you, and you're not pushing it alone. So I highly recommend a tip is to get your team involved so they know what you're doing and you're all moving in the same direction.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I have an online business manager. I have a social media marketing person. We have copywriting, and I have a weekly meeting with all of them. And it's it may be 15 minutes, it might be 30 minutes, and sometimes it might be an hour. But you have to have those weekly meetings with them, and you have to have that trust factor that this is their arena. This is what they're great at. And we're going to talk about it. I'm going to tell them my goals, my desires, my dreams. This is what I want. But you're the deliverables to put it out there. Yes, I'm going to approve the final stuff, but you have to allow them to do those things and take charge, because they're going to do a much better job than you were if you're trying to do instead of trying to do it yourself.
Agreed. And then here's another, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you were talking about marketing. You can't just get up every day and just go off the seat of your pants and you're marketing. You have to have a strategy that's planned a month, 2 months out of what you're going to deliver out there. And so they can properly put that in perspective to represent you. You just can't get up today and say, oh, I need to post on all 5 social media sites here today. Let me, this team member says, let me go find something and just post anything. No, it's got to lead into your weekly blog, or if you're in tax,
got to have a goal.
Yeah,
what's the call to action? What's the direction you're moving this client towards? Yes, there's so many reasons that everything, and like you said, if you have everybody on the same page and we're moving towards the same goal, you don't necessarily have to go hunt down the picture that you're going to post in the social media, because you could delegate that to your team. But if the team knows the direction and the goal and the path that we're taking and why this post is out there for this reason, they're going to go find the picture that meets that need. You don't have to do it. They did it, right? But they're on the same page.
Exactly.
So I've got 2 more tips for you. 2 more quick tips for you. So interview your best customer is another tip. So I think in interviewing your best customer, why did they buy from you? And what was their reason? What was their use? You're going to get valuable feedback, and it'll help you improve your product. And then, since we're running quick on time here, invest in marketing. Invest in marketing, because you can't be the best kept secret in your industry, because you'll be broke.
Well, and I couldn't agree with you more. I would like to ask you just a couple of little bars, Marcia, when whether you're interviewing a client or they're becoming a potential client or they are a client, the importance of investing in yourself and your business so you can grow. I still think that, I don't know about you, but I know sometimes that seems to be an objection, like, well, I just can't afford this right now. And they just don't get that thing of how important it is, that it's not going to cost you. It's going to save you, and it's going to make you money when you invest in yourself and your business by hiring the proper people with the background and the knowledge that you have, like yourself or myself or Sarah, whether it's a CPA, that you need to invest in those people.
So here's something that it'll have a similar analogy, but I was listening to this gentleman before that had mentioned that what's the cost, the opportunity cost. So if you could be making, let's just call it $1 million out there, but this year you only made 100. Your opportunity cost was $900,000.
Wow.
By not doing the things that you needed to do to be able to make that $1 million. So next year you grew your business to 200,000. Now the opportunity cost by not investing in your business and investing in team members and consultants and advisors and your clients and your systems and processes, all that investment cost you 800,000 because you didn't make the $1 million. So that's the opportunity cost. Now, we could cause a huge stretch and have it be a huge stretch. Or we could say, okay, my goal this year is I make 100,000. Next year, I'm going to make 250. So now my opportunity cost, if I didn't make it, was 150,000. So if I'm not investing in my business to grow my business to 250, then it's costing me more than I could have paid my advisors at 25,000 or 10,000 or, you know, a couple thousand here or there, all that cost. And I still didn't get to the goal. And that becomes the opportunity cost. So we have to shift our minds, business owners. We need to shift our minds and say, what are we capable of doing? And what is realistic out there? And then bring on everybody you can possibly afford at the phase of the business, and then grow your business. Because when you're in business, and if you're in business like I am, or Celeste or Sarah, we all seem to be here on a mission to serve. And think about the people you're not serving if you don't grow your business, because there's someone down the road that you could have helped and you didn't because you refused to grow your business.
Well, you know, there's a couple of things that you just said in these last couple of minutes, Marcia. Number one is I can definitely relate to the mind shift. That's one of the things that I talk about in my signature program is you have to have a mind shift first. And a lot of people don't have a mind shift. They use the same mindset, and they don't understand that mindset 10 years ago isn't going to get you where you want to go today. You have to make a mind shift to get there. The other thing that you said that was what was really amazing is the opportunity cost. I love the fact that you gave that analogy of the opportunity cost.
Yeah, it is so true. And for whatever reason you're in business for, I mean, I think the biggest thing is you could be helping more people.
Absolutely. Well, you have given us some amazing tips here today and a lot of knowledge and empowerment to grow our business. Please tell us how we can get a hold of you. Tell us about your podcast, anything that you have going on for our listeners. And also I want to make sure you go into our chat and put that information as well. So
I sure will.
So would you please let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you, your podcast, and anything else you have going on?
Absolutely. So I'm super excited. My new business is Trajectory Biz. It's actually Trajectory Consulting, but I'm not ready quite to pay the extra $2,000 to buy my name. So I have trajectorybiz.com. So if you go there, there'll be enough information in there for you to really learn about how I help people and get an opportunity to reach out. I offer a free consultation so we can chat and see how, you know, I can help you in your business and really take you to that next step. And then, so again, it's trajectorybiz.com. I also offer, as we spoke about earlier, I do a podcast weekly called Profit with a Plan, and it's at profitwithaplan.com. Celeste was my guest number 68. So I've been doing this for about 1.5 years now. It's been a lot of fun. The whole emphasis is what can we share with you that can help you be more profitable in your business? And that's it. So I bring on guests, and then early on, don't judge at the earlier videos. But as we've evolved and we've gotten better and better and more exciting, and I've been just having some fabulous guests on.
Absolutely. You know, Sarah, what are 2 takeaways that you take away from this talk today? Because Marcia has just given us a wealth of knowledge.
I like the idea of a budget because most people don't have a budget. And I liked when you said it's not a diet. It's amazing if you look at your financials or a budget, what you spend your money on, because you really don't know unless you have that in front of you to look at it and to plan by. I really
Right, because we don't take dollars out of our pockets anymore. We charge it. We have automatic charges. You know, we just swipe, and it's not the same as pulling out a couple $100 out of your wallet and going, "Don't take that."
That's right. Yeah. And then I like the idea of reviewing your plan every year. You know,
I'd say
I'm
even more
guilty of
often
not
than that, but
doing
yeah.
that. I love that.
Yes.
So
It
those
needs
things
to,
that I need to remember.
yeah, it needs to constantly be, it's a living, breathing document, and it really should be the guide for how you're going to run your business and what your business is all about. And if you keep it open on your desk and flip through and go, hey, I was supposed to be here. Okay, what can I need to do? What do I need to shift? It's active. It's very active.
Absolutely.
I just want to give you a compliment. I love your background. It's
Oh,
so
thank you. Thank you.
It's like mine's so busy and everything, but yours is simple and looks great.
Oh, thank you so much.
In there that I don't know about.
It's a screen, one of those foldable tri-screens, and it just gives you something interesting to look at. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Well, Marcia, it's been a pleasure having you on our show here today. I know on behalf of Sarah and I, and most importantly, on behalf of WCEG Talk Radio and Penny Rogers, we appreciate you coming in tonight and sharing your knowledge and your empowerment to help our listeners and our community. So our hearts love your hearts. We wish you a wonderful and blessed day and the rest of the week. And even, I know that you're under strict orders in California to be in lockdown, and we just pray for you and your family for safety and good health.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a wonderful platform. Again, I'm on a mission, so this is my gift to share out and to have two amazing gals like you two here on me, and Penny, the three of you, to help me share the message and get it out there. So I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. You have a blessed day. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.